everything in this earth will turn into fire and ash. I'm Siriani, the daughter of the snake. And I was constantly thinking in my head and my lack of knowledge that the Aghoris probably want to eat me and all this kind of craziness that I was thinking. And all of a sudden somebody takes some of my hair and they put it in the duni and I'm like, what is going on? And my friend is like, you've just been initiated. I'm like, what? Om Namah Shiva. That Shiva right there has to have the entire power of Shiva in it.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of our brand new show called Truths of the World. In this show, we will be sitting down with spiritual masters all across the world. We are talking about yogis, aghoris, Sufi saints, Amazonian shamans, and many more such spiritual figures. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We are meeting Shaman Siriani, who is an Amazonian shaman, but also happens to be an aghori from the Nath Sampradaya. So without any further delays, let's get into a conversation with her. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our episode with Shaman Siriani. Welcome, Shaman.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, I just quickly really wanted to start with a brief introduction on your part. So I'm sure there is a long journey that you've come. We all would absolutely love to hear it out. We would want to know your story. So yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to thank the Great Spirit, Lord Shiva, Goraknath, and all the Nath yogis that they guide me to be here in this place today at this time to be able to speak this with you. And thank you so much for the interest you have. I don't know where to start the story, but I will start the story that will matter. The first thing that is very important to know is what is a shaman? And when to me, a shaman is someone who is observing and contemplating that very point that the universe got started and then sees that through everything that exists, primarily through nature. And by the time when you're observing, you see the vibration, you see the frequency, you see the point. So in everything that you see that there's a universe. The entire cosmos is in everything that you see. Everything is respected. And the person who's observing this and is contemplating it and is connecting through that is a shaman. A shaman is the one who can bridges these words through any kind of medicine they're using, whether it's prayers, which you guys call mantras, or medicines, which if there was a comparison, maybe we could say bang, that Shiva used bang as well, that people use this to reach an altered state of consciousness. And people who have discipline, people who do different kind of what we call dietas. So tapasya is a dieta. Sitting down for 9 days for Durga is a dieta. You sit down. Or you can do this with plants. You take the plants and then the plants teach you. You become the plant will teach you. So, and then to study with every element, to study with the water, to study with the fire, to study with everything. So this is a language, yeah. And so what I'm explaining to you, there's no difference. If I was going to explain to you the Aghori path or the Nath yogi path or the shamanic path is the same. So many people are like, how can you be a Nath yogi, Aghori Nath yogi, and be a shaman? I'm like, how could I not? What's the difference? You know, the difference could be the language and the prayers, but the contemplation and sitting and the connection is the same. I didn't go to become initiated. I met Guruji, uh, and all my judgments was in him. He was my judgment. I go to a cave, you know, above the Ghats in Pashupatinath, Nepal, and everybody told me, "Let's go and see this yogi who doesn't sleep, who doesn't eat, and who only smokes and drinks." I said, "Okay." So when I go to this place and I see this person, not understanding that this is a sadhana that is happening, yeah, not understanding that this was a sadhana. Even the alcohol was a sadhana. The smoking was a sadhana. Everything was something that I couldn't understand. That would then was get into everything and get out of it, you know. which we do it in shamanic path. We don't really get that deeply in it, but this is something they do. Or looking at Kali and being scared of Kali. But then through the Aghori eyes, Kali is also it became such a compassionate, beautiful goddess that, if understood, is teaching you what she's about, not at all what we feel. Which we have similar thing also in shamanism. So the deeper I get into it, I am only receiving more wisdom. Nothing that is separate from what the practice is, but more wisdom. Sitting with the fire the way I'm sitting and doing the mantras, that these mantras are specifically for um, this lineage of Nath Sampradaya Aghori, opens another door, teaches me like a different language. Everything has a mantra. The fire has a mantra. To take the ash and not see it anymore as ash and see it of a way of connecting to the 9 Nats and the 84 Sitas is like, wow. So every time I take this, look what protection is coming to me. We do the same thing with nature. We have things that awaken nature, but certain things we don't do, and then certain things the others do. So it's just accumulating more wisdom for the very sake of expanding more into this eternal consciousness, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. So, the Aghori path and the path of the shaman, I believe all paths eventually lead to the same destination. However, these paths are rather contrasting in their approach. So, how do you balance both of these elements in your life? How do you stay a shaman while also becoming an Aghori?
So this is the thing. There's no contrast when you're in it deeply. Maybe from on the eye of the beholder from the outside, there's a difference, yeah. But in reality, there is no difference. You know, to be a shaman, you have to have your discipline. You have to do your prayers. Not out of duty. It's a journey of becoming. Yeah. So you become that, and then you become more. Then you become more. So it becomes your being. For me, an Aghori is, what is an Aghori? The Aghori is that includes everything, doesn't see anything negative or dark, you know. I'm not saying go out there and do things without consciousness, but through the consciousness, expanded consciousness, everything is God. So when you say Adesh, 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 you say the same order, the same consciousness moves through everything that exists. That's exactly what we say. Opakushipayushivu, you're saying the same thing, that everything is God, same consciousness in everything. Everything has the spirit of the great spirit. There is no difference. Yes, there's the difference that I will put on my face, like what you guys will call kumkum. In Aghori path, I will put ash. Now, the ash, everything in this earth will turn into fire and ash. Everything is the most pure form of everything that exists. And again, as I told you, that is the first thing that the first yogi, Adi Yogi, the Shiva himself, Lord Shiva himself, brought it first. Then the sun touched it, the fire dried it. Then it goes on your, I mean, it's just another way of connecting. I don't see a separation.
Having known you, I believe you had a connection with Shiva much before you became an Aghori. So how did that happen? How did Shiva enter your life?
Um, I think Shiva doesn't enter your life. Shiva is everything that exists. Har Har Mahadev. Yeah, if you're gonna look at it that way. But it's just the fact of being able to observe it and see it. So I don't know if you remember the tsunami that happened long time ago. It was a long time ago. Tsunami happened in Indonesia. I had an Italian friend of mine who was one of the only people who lived through that tsunami. He was on top of a church with a book that was called Autobiography of a Yogi, that it speaks about Mahavatar Babaji, Paramahansa Yogananda. So after I read that book, immediately my connection was to Mahavatar Babaji, and I've connected to him, and it seemed like mysteriously he guided my life ever since. And how I would know that, because whenever there was an important decision to be made or made, his picture or somebody would mention him or something would flash. When I was so that started from there, and then I started practicing Kriya Yoga. And when I mean Kriya Yoga means no exercise, because like these days the exercise is called the yoga. The asanas are called yoga, but yoga is not that. Yoga is what we were talking about, this connection to the divine. So I started from then. I never stopped my shamanism. And because that's also me. How can I stop being me? I'm not trying to, I don't get up and act like a shaman or act like an Aghori. This is now part of me inside, which I don't see separation. And so from there it started. And then when I ended up going to meeting Babaji and being initiated in that Sampradayam, which I'm very, very grateful and understand the respect of this lineage now, I realized that Mahavatar Babaji is a Nath yogi, because he had the cities and it was all the things that he was talking about. So he was Shiva Gorak. And Shiva Gorak is the Shiva of the Nath yogi. So he never left my life and never came in. It was always there. It's just me being able to see it by changing my vibration.
Great. So, would you like to talk about your journey so far as an Aghori, and how long have you been a yogi, and what was the process of initiation, and how did Guruji happen to initiate you? Because it's very unusual and it's very uncommon to see a woman, especially somebody who's not from India, to be following this path, and for the Yognath Sampradaya to be open and accepting to let somebody in like that. We would like to know more about your journey there.
I can speak to you about my part of journey, but the fact that why he chose to initiate me, we have to ask him. So I went to India to renunciate everything this last year when I went. It was a very different way of looking at things, because I realized you can never really truly renunciate, because if you renunciate, you will not live. You need to have the desire to breathe, desire to eat, and many other desires. So you cannot, either you have to let go of all desires, which you no longer will be here, but not in a conscious way, because the way is to become and dissolve. So that doesn't happen with any kind of discipline. A journey of becoming is very different. So I figured that out. When a friend of mine asked me to go and see Guruji, I went and saw him. And immediately, because I was wearing my necklaces, that they were like snake necklaces from my lineage and everything, he started shouting and saying, you know, only my family can wear this. I said, who you are to tell me this? I'm Siriani, the daughter of the snake. In his mind, they have a snake tradition. So he's thinking I'm talking about that family, but I'm talking about something completely different. Then he's smoking, then he's drinking, then he's like everything is like no, all the judgments. But there's this very big light still in him, like something in his eyes. And what he told me was like, I said, when I said this to him, he looked at me, because nobody talks to him that way. I don't know that yet. And he looks at me and he says to me, no, 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 you're a snake. Sit, sit. I'm like, why I want to sit here now? He's like, because I want to teach you. And he's like, why do you want to teach me? He's like, because I have to pass this knowledge to somebody. I want to pass it to you. And then he says, you're an Aghori, remember? And I was like, what is he talking about? But when he said that, it felt like there was a knowing there, you know? That was something that and I didn't stay that long. So then I ended up going back. And he kept on messaging me and sending and inviting me to go to his temple, and I didn't go. And I was constantly thinking in my head, and my lack of knowledge, that the Agoris probably want to eat me and all this kind of craziness that I was thinking. So then I ended up finally, it was a pull that was very strong. Like literally I couldn't stop. And everybody was asking me, why are you going? And I couldn't tell you why, because I was not interested in him at all. And his whole way was all the things that I judged ever in my life. But the pull was very strong. I mean, I went through a lot there, yeah, changing the whole thing, um, cleaning, because the Agoris, everything is Shiva. Even if it's a mouse running, is Shiva. If it's a fly, is Kali. If this is, I'm like, no, I need to be in a place that they can be present, but in a different way. So I started like changing everything in a way that I was perceiving it has to be. And then a couple of days after, Guruji's like, you want to sit down for 9 days with me because it's the nine Durgas. I said, "Smile." Yeah, it's like, what am I gonna sit for 9 days for? He says, I'm sitting. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, if he's sitting, I should be sitting. So I sat down for 9 days. And I think that really impressed him because to me, everybody can do that. And he says, no, this is not everybody who can sit for 9 days. Then a little bit later, he told me a couple of days after, um, he asked me if I wanted to sit with him in fire. I said, like, he's really lost his mind. But then I'm like, how many days? He said 21 days. I'm like, no, he's really lost his mind. Then I sit contemplating. I'm like, what? If he's doing it, I should do it. I said, yes, I will do it, but I will not promise to you I finish it. And there's always this light that goes in his eyes when I say these things. But I kind of feel he already knows these things. I think he just pushes the seed that has been planted from a long time ago. So then that night, I sat down and there was a ceremony and I didn't know what they were doing. And all of a sudden, somebody takes some of my hair and they put it in the dune. And I'm like, what is going on? And my friend is like, you've just been initiated. I'm like, what? I I didn't know if I was gonna be initiated. So Babaji already had decided by that time. And he initiated me. And then he gave me the Janaya, which is very important to the Nath yogis and is incredible the meaning of this. And after that, I did the 21 days. And in that is when you become Taipashvi yogi, because that's when you get the permission of the fire to put the vibhuti on your body. Now you have become sacred to be able to put vibhuti on your body. It's not something that you do for a part. So then his guru came and he accepted me. And I also met his Pirji, which is the highest person of. I'm very lucky, very, very lucky. And then I met them. And there was a question I was always contemplating, and I asked many gurus and they couldn't answer me, but I asked Pirji. And I asked, like, and the way I could speak to him because he didn't speak English. And I said, okay, if this is Shiva, if this is Shiva, if this is Shiva, if this is Shiva, they're all one drops of water. So then the whole water is Shiva. He said yes, and everything else is kuch nahi, and that's the only truth. And he told Babaji that this one is different, you know. And then from there, I kind of felt like it's just merging different languages and understanding each other. I mean, you're one. Once we understood each other, we realized that we're speaking the same language. However, I like to speak the same language with you in your own language. This has always been my way. So if I'm going to talk about Shiva, I need to have an idea what Shiva is. Because when I'm going to sing Om Namah Shivaya, that Shiva right there has to have the entire power of Shiva in it. Or Shakti has to, it cannot just be a song. Yeah. So I went very deep, and as I am, I like to go into things this way. And when I was here, I'm very happy to be with my family here. I'm very, very grateful, but very sad because I was missing Tapasya. And I told Guruji that, can I do the Tapasya here? And he said, yeah. So I started sitting in the fire here at first. I mean, it was very interesting because at first the fire was small, but as the Tapasya is going, the fire is also getting bigger, you know? And then Guruji told me that I'm the first yogi ever in the entire Europe has done Aghori Sadhana, Tapasya, not Sampradaya here. So then um, it became even more important for me because I literally sat because of world peace. Like literally, I was thinking, like, I was doing a lot of online lives for people that they need to watch this. But I thought that this movement needs to come from here as well, from where we are sitting, because I feel there's a strong portal there. So I activated the fire into that duni, and that duni now is the duni that belongs to Guru Goraknath. Because whenever you put that duni and you connect to the nine das and the 84 siddhas, that's a good duni of the Guru Goraknath. So now we're all connected in this point in Finca Putumayo. And I think it was very necessary in geographical location where it is to have that kind of connection for 41 days to be prayed for peace.
So, a follow-up question regarding the Agni Tapasya that you're doing right now, for the understanding of the viewers. When you say we sit on fire, what exactly does that mean? Are we literally sitting on a pyre of fire? Is there a spiritual significance to the burning aspect of it? And what exactly is it that we are trying to achieve out of it? What are the fruits of this tapasya?
So you could literally make a circle of fire around you and you sit inside it. Or you could make a very strong fire in front and you will sit very close to it. Of course, it will teach you many things because it's kind of deep meditation. You have to concentrate not to get burned. You have to concentrate to keep yourself very connected, to speak to the winds, think to the Mother Earth, and all the elements that exist to be able to move these things for you so you can sit. But when you sit, when a yogi sits, is not sitting alone. Yeah, it's calling all the forces and awakening all the forces, as when a shaman sits, the same. Maybe a little bit more on this side, a little bit more on this side. So we bring both together and you sit. So now you have this seat becomes a holy seat. And the fire becomes a fire that all the Nats are sitting in front of it somewhere. So you're directly communicating. So basically, what you will see is like the heart of the person that is sitting, it becomes open a portal because you're not holding anything to be you. And then from above, there will be coming information channeling through your heart and going through this fire, and this fire expanding to everything and every heart around it. The first couple of days when you sit, it burns, a lot of things show up. Your ego will show up, your this will show up, your that show, everything will go, but you just sit and you connect to the fire, you just sit. And then eventually you will receive that. So I think tapasya is a tap is fire to burn everything that is no longer serving you into light, and then take the light and spread it.
And you mentioned that you're doing this for world peace. Could you speak a little on that?
So there was a moment that I picked up Instagram, and wherever I'm passing is a war, is an abuse, is this, is that. What kind of a world is happening? What is going on? And we should not get into the stories, but what we should do is create a different world. And how can you create a different world? Uh, what would be a strong portal? So then I thought, if only in Haryana, Rohtak, 5,000 yogis are sitting and doing tapasya, and I sit and connect to the same fire, at least those 5,000 people are sending a vibration of peace in the same portal that we are creating under the same lineage. So that was something that it came. And also here, because here also, two of the people with me, they're also not yogis. They also got initiated. So sometimes they're sitting, but whether they sit or not, that presence is with them.
Wonderful. Also, as a part of your journey of being a shaman, I believe you have been working for world peace for a very long time. You have been traveling the world, you've been healing people with the medicine, and you've been healing people with your Icaros. Could you tell the viewers a little about that?
I think peace starts inside you. So every time somebody comes and they're not balanced, and then you, through the blessing of all the sacred medicines, and you just being you driving them, you are the bridge, you're the connection of these two worlds together in safety, to bring these people to the medicine that will bring the balance and the teaching to them, and that's already doing this kind of work, you know, and also bringing people's focus on the world peace at the end of every session that we do, is to bring that there. So yeah, that's been happening all the time. The medicines bring healing and the healing brings peace. So when you're more peaceful inside, then everything around you becomes peaceful. Is to teach people that the temple is in every action that you do. Yeah, the temple is not just like outside, clean this. As a matter of fact, if you wake up every morning and you're just cleaning and doing this and doing this, this is a duty. So you've forgotten the prayer in it. So for me is I have to wake up and do everything from the bottom of my heart, not as a job. Because when it becomes a duty, then it's no longer devotion. And everything I do has to be through devotion. So the same way I try to teach that by walking it, not by teaching it, by walking it. So hopefully this will also arise. So that work has been going on for a very long time in myself and in others.
So you are in Europe right now, and other than the Agni Tapasya, I believe there are a lot of other things that you're doing for the people out there. Can you talk a little about that?
So we work with the sacred medicines, and so the people come and visit us for healing, for healing for anxiety, for drug addiction, relationship issues, depression, just viewing life like into a little small point that is processed through a brain that is seeing everything in that way. That's sickness, yeah. Because if we expand it, then everything will be good. So this kind of work is happening through many different. There's acupuncture, there is Icaros, there is Thursday fires that we sit on. There's one-on-one. There's many different shamans and their medicines that they come. The place itself is so beautiful. It brings healing. The food they make here is made like with love and is like beautiful seva people do here, the devotion. So everything, every movement here is happening in that way.
Is there any message that you would have for all of the viewers who probably have never really experienced the medicine, or they are not really aware of that side of the world?
I will say that before we experience any medicine or meditation or any path, our life is literally this small. And we have created a life so small and could be very sad, could be very this, could be like everything in a specific way. The universe, the or Lord Shiva or the great spirit is huge, is infinite. And we have made it only that little because we have put so many borders, do's and don'ts, and this and that, and what we watch, what we hear, and we made it so little. And if we've made it this little, which is 99% of the world, there we are suffering. If you want to end that suffering, expand. If you want to expand, there are ways. And these ways can be through these medicines. And medicines, I don't mean necessarily something that you're taking. It could be the mantras. It could be your devotion. It could be your love. It could be all of that. But if you need expansion, then you have to connect to something that is already expanded. The medicines are already connected. The mantras are already connected. Fire is already connected. So that's what I would say. Expand, seek to expand.
Great. So this was a wonderful chat. I am very, very grateful that you took out the time to do this with us. And I am absolutely looking forward to doing more of this, hoping to see you in person, hoping to understand more about your shamanic culture and your journey and the story of the medicine. So yeah, absolutely looking forward to more such conversations, and deeply grateful for your time today. Thank you very much.
That was Shaman Siriani in conversation with us at Truths of the World. Stay tuned for the next episode because we will be meeting another spiritual master who is a yogi, a Aghori, a tapasvi, and he also happens to be Shaman Siriani's very own guru. So stay tuned at Truths of the World.